Hey everybody, this is Dreamer. Before I get started, can you guys please smash that subscribe and like button? I really do appreciate it. With that said, this is our 11-game slate for FanDuel, NBA, DFS. For the main slate, we got a lot of good games on the slate, 11 games overall, and we have a lot of good players to choose from today. A lot of good value plays, a lot of higher end plays as well. So obviously, the way the pricings work today, FanDuel is kind of a lot different than DraftKings when it comes to how you're going to want to make your lineup because of the different players that are priced low and high. And so with that said, let's get into the players themselves. I am just going to base off of this spreadsheet today because my eyes are bothering me quite a bit today. And so utilizing the FanDuel has been a little bit of an annoyance. So I didn't want to try to get where I'm stuck and not able to speak clearly because I can't tell what I'm trying to do. So I'm just going to go through the spreadsheet. Now, this spreadsheet is also available. I actually put it on Patreon. So if you're interested in getting this every day, then you can check out Patreon in the description below. You can also join our free Discord that's in the description below as well, where we talk a lot about the different lineups each day for multiple sports. So feel free to check those things out. Let's go ahead and get into it. So first of all, for point guard, Nashawn Highland, he is at $3,900 for Denver. Now he's got a nice full plus matchup here, and if Jamal Murray is out, then that's going to really give him some opportunity to have a good game. He did really well last season when he started, and if he does start here, then he's in a great spot. Alex Caruso seems a little bit too cheap for his production here on DraftKings for the Bulls, and he's in a good matchup here, so I do think he's going to have against Indiana, so I do think he's going to have some upside, especially if he does start in this game, which he should. Mike Conley, his price is actually too cheap here as well. Now he does have to share the ball with Colin Sexton, but overall, I think he's in a good spot, and his price point is just too valuable here to not take a look at him. Ish Smith for Denver, if he ends up starting instead of Nayland, then he will be actually top tier option. Trey Jones for the Spurs. Now, his price has come up, so it's not as ideal, but I still think he has pretty good value here. He still was scoring in the 25 to 30 point range last season when he started, and so I do like him in this matchup. Tyrese Halliburton's price has come up here, but he is the best option on Indiana for scoring, and so I do like him in this matchup. Kevin Porter Jr. seems like his price is pretty solid here on FanDuel, which gives him some upside in a good matchup for Houston. John Morant, he played extremely well in the first game, and I look for him to continue to do that. His price point is actually really good here on FanDuel, and so he's one of my favorite higher-end plays, along with Trae Young, who's also just a little bit too cheap here on FanDuel for his potential production, and he played really well in the first game. I look for him to continue that. As shooting guard, we have John Conchar, whose price has come up some, but it's a lot better than DraftKings, and he looks like a must-play based on his price point. Alex Caruso, who I already mentioned, Caleb Martin for Miami. Now, he needs to start here to really pay off, but his price point gives him a lot of value and upside in a tougher matchup, but he's still in a good spot against Boston. Desmond Bane from Memphis looks like he's in a pretty good spot here, and his price point is a little bit fairer here than it is on DraftKings, and I do like him in this matchup. He should get some opportunity to play well. Kelly Oubre Jr. should get some upside in this matchup for Charlotte. Now, here's the issue with him is that he's very inconsistent. And so, even though he does have upside because of injuries, you still have to be a little bit concerned. But overall, I still like him pretty good. Ish Smith is also a good play at the shooting guard position. Buddy Hield, he does look like he has a good value price here for Indiana. And he is the second option, really, for them for scoring. And so I do look for him to have a good game. Somehow, Terry Taylor is setting at shooting guard here instead of power forward on this on DraftKings, on FanDuel. So overall, he does have some potential here. Now, he does need to start, so you need to check to make sure he ends up starting. But he does have potential here. A little bit risky, but not as risky as some of the other guys in his price range, like Bruno or like Nick Richards or something. Then Benedict Mathurin, he's a little bit too cheap for his production potential here. He's got good option off the bench, and he played really well in the first game. I looked to him to continue that. Still a little bit of a Hail Mary play, but he's still a pretty good spot. Cam Johnson here for Phoenix at small forward. He looks like he's in a great spot. His price point is really good here on FanDuel. He's probably somebody that I almost would say is a must-use at this particular position, just based on his potential in this matchup. Then I got a couple guys I already mentioned at shooting guard, so I'm going to jump down here to Bojan Bogdanovic. He is $4,900, and he seems like a pretty good value here for Detroit. He's one of the few guys on their team that's pretty consistent, and so I do like him quite a bit. I don't know why I meant to list another guy here, which is DeMar DeRozan. He should have a big game here. I forget. I think I accidentally deleted him on accident. But he is in a great spot for Chicago, and he gets a lot of usage as a result of that matchup, and so I do love him here. Then for power forward, Santi Aldama, another guy from Memphis whose price came up a little bit, but his price is just too cheap for his potential here on FanDuel, and so I do like him in this matchup. Jabari Smith for Houston, also, if he does end up playing, which he should, his price has come up a little bit, but he's still a pretty good value, especially with the other guys out for Houston. Isaiah Hartenstein, his price is pretty cheap over here, and the Knicks they really like him here. Now, you do have to worry a little bit about the Knicks with minutes because they get kind of sporadic, but as long as he comes in and plays well, then he'll get a pretty good chunk of minutes in this game. Excuse me. John Collins for Atlanta. Now, he has a pretty good upside in this matchup, but sometimes Capella eats into his production. But I suspect in a plus matchup like this, he'll still have a good game. Kristaps Porzingis, he's in a great spot here for Washington against Chicago. I think him and Vucevic will both do well in this game, and I look for him to have some good upside in this matchup for himself. And his price point is still pretty fair. At center, Jacob Poeltl, he looks a little bit too cheap, a little bit over here, especially with Turner not playing. He's got good potential and production overall, and I do like him at center. Walker Kessler's another guy, if you need a value play here. He has some upside due to this price, and he should play quite a few minutes in this matchup against Minnesota. John Collins, again, DeAndre Ayton, his price point is still pretty good. Not super ideal over here on FanDuel, but he's a little bit better on DraftKings. But his production looks like it should be pretty good. And then Porzingis again. And then also Vucevic, who I guess I just left off the Chicago Bulls' top two plays on accident. Vucevic. Both of these guys, so Vucevic, he has some upside in this matchup. He gets a lot of bonus because with Chicago, whenever the top Ball and Levine are out, and those both guys should be out today, so he becomes a good pick regardless of his price point. Same with DeRozan. So with that said, I think on FanDuel there's a little bit different like options that are good values, especially from Memphis and Phoenix and stuff. And then you got some of the traditional guys that are good on both sides, like DeRozan and Buddy Hield and Denver's potential starting point guard and stuff like that. So overall, but there is I think there's actually better value in the high price guys like Morant and Jerry Young as well, and Halliburton. So yeah, I think it's a really good slate. If you have any comments or questions, or if there's any players you feel like I left out that you think that are good, feel free to leave those below. Thank you guys for liking, commenting, subscribing, and have a nice day, guys.